Hi everybody, welcome to another video. So today we're having a look at the Meiji Finer Core, which is effectively the top of the range Meiji gun as far as the gravity guns are concerned anyway. That's a 1.3 and it's the HVLP version. They make a, well, they just call it a 1.3 and they make a 1.3 HVLP. They also do the same in 1.5, so two versions in 1.5, and we're pitting that up against today the Sata I-pattern X5500, which is also in HVLP. So effectively I thought we'd do HVLP v HVLP, and it's for a base coat, which is essentially what most HVLP guns are made for. Yes, you can spray clear coat with them, but normally the manufacturers recommend that you that they're for base coat. It can be waterborne base coat and it can be solvent base coat. This is actually a solvent base coat. I've used both these guns with both waterborne and solvent, although mainly I use solvent, and they're both very capable guns, capable of spraying both. Most waterborne paint, certainly the ones I've used, and I've only used a couple of different manufacturers, in fact two different manufacturers, tends to be a bit thicker. I know you can thin them down, but you know, thinning them to specification, they tend to be a bit thicker. So I find that the HVLP guns often deal with waterborne paint better, and I think that's just because by their very nature normally they have a higher volume of air, and they can deal with the thicker paint better. I don't know whether that's correct. Normally you would go for a bigger tip to do that as well, but certainly I think that's got to be some reason that more manufacturers seem to recommend a HVLP for waterborne, although some manufacturers like Iwata and people like that are making purpose-built waterborne guns that have just got bigger tips to flow better the thicker material that you get with, as I say, the waterborne base coat. Anyway, let's talk about these two guns. So I pitted these two together because they're both the creme de la creme of each manufacturer, but they are quite different. The results are very, very similar. At the end you'll see the two panels. This is purely for base coat, and they go about their task in a reasonably similar way, but there are quite subtle differences between the two of these guns. One, which is the Meiji, is physically much smaller than the Sata, and the Sata is probably bigger than most gravity spray guns. It feels a big agricultural lump, whereas the Meiji is absolutely exquisite. The way it's made and the way it's tailored to your hand just feels really, really nice. I'll mention this at the start because otherwise I'll forget. I got them, the Meiji guns, from Painting Tools Japan. If you're watching this video and it's before the end of September, there's a discount code which I'll put up on screen now, but I'll also put a link in the description to Painting Tools Japan eBay shop, which is where I buy, well, certainly my Meiji stuff from, Meiji stuff from, and it's a discount code. It just gets you 7% off the eBay price on the site. So if you follow the link to it's actually eBay US, the eBay US site, you can enter the discount code, which is Pete's Hobbies, all in capitals, all one word. As I say, I'll put that in the description so that you can go there if you want to and get that. But I thought I would mention it before I forget. But it's only valid until the end of September 2023. So if you're watching this video after that, then apologies, that would have finished by now. It is purely for you. There's nothing in it for me. It doesn't make any difference if you buy them or not to me. But I thought it was just something that was quite nice that they offered, you know, that I could do and we can do. So if you fancy that, then as I say, the link's in the description. So rabbiting on again, I need to talk about these two guns. So as I said, the Melee, if you're one of the people that think that Sata are the best made tools, then you need to buy a Meiji spray gun, really, because they are without doubt better made. They may not last longer. I don't think they'll last any less time wise, but they're much more of a Swiss watch compared to a Massey Ferguson. Now, for people that don't know, I'm sure Massey Ferguson are throughout the world, but they make tractors in the UK. Well, they sell tractors in the UK. I don't know whether they actually make them in the UK anymore, but they're a big manufacturer of agricultural vehicles, and they do their job very, very well and last very, very well. And that is the similar feeling you get when you're using the Sata. It's a big old agricultural lump. It's going to last you for years. It's going to work very, very well, but it certainly wouldn't win any prizes for being exquisite. Whereas the Meiji really is a good gun. It's very, very well made. It doesn't put out as much material as the Sata, so the Sata will be slightly faster. Both of these, as I said at the start, are HVLP, and what you will find with HVLP, they tend to put out less material than the Trans-Tech or the standard versions of the same gun. And the reason for that is because they effectively use more air to propel the. I'm only gathering this in my head, really, but I'm sure this is what happens. They use more air to propel the material to the panel. You normally hold a HVLP gun closer to the panel, so therefore the more air that's going through, the easier it can atomize. The closer you can hold the gun to the panel and achieve the atomization, therefore the less material you will use to cover the same area. And I'm sure that's how HVLP works. And to the credit of both of these, they actually work very, very well doing that. Both of these will use less material than the standard version, doing exactly the same base coat. Another thing you'll find, and I think this again is due to the air consumption and the amount of air that they put through and put out, you find that they're much better for more complex colours. Now this is an orange. It hasn't got a colour code as such. It's a custom colour I buy in tins because I really like it. It's one of my favourite colours. As I say, I can't give the code because I don't actually know the code, but it's quite challenging to spray sometimes because you can end up with tiger stripes if you don't keep the overlapping correct, keep a bit of wetness in the pattern, and also have a reasonably good spray gun. You can end up with tiger stripes if you're not careful. Both of these guns I did a drop coat at the end, and we're putting the two panels side by side at the end so you can see the coverage is the same on both of these. But these two spray guns handled this really, really well, and I think that's more of a test of a quality spray gun. When you get to the colours that are a bit more difficult to spray, the quality of spray gun does start to help, although at the end of the day I suppose it's the person pulling the trigger where most of the quality will tell, not wanting to blow my own trumpet. Pressure wise, I use the Meiji at 1.8 bar. I think recommended pressure is around 1.7 to 1.8 bar, and I use the Sata at 1.6 bar. Now I've used that before down to 1.4 bar, so you can get away with a little bit less pressure with the Sata, although the Sata definitely uses more air than these two. Than the other Meiji one out of these two. So I suppose the trade-off with a bit less pressure is the fact that it does use a bit more air. What I would say to anybody that's looking at this and thinking they're not sure which one between the two, one of the things to point out is the Meiji, although it's it probably is the most expensive Meiji they make. It's still probably half the price of the Sata. And when you start to look at the engineering the quality of engineering involved in the Meiji, it really does make you wonder where Sata get their prices from. It is bigger. I suppose it uses a little bit more raw material, but most of the price of a gun is going to be nothing to do with raw material within reason. Most of it's going to be, you know, developing, manufacturing, shipping, distribution, etc. That's where most of your costs are going to come in. So the fact that one's bigger than the other doesn't really make it worth anything like twice the amount of the other one. In fact, what I would say to you is if you're thinking of, if you want something that's going to be a production gun, you've got like 6 vehicles coming for a day that you've got to do a half respray on, or you know, 3 or 4 with a full respray for base coat. I would say go for the Sata, because it's gonna serve you well and it's gonna be quicker. But if you're more like me, someone that does sort of smaller jobs but likes something that's a bit more precise, although I do like a bit of speed in a gun, but if you like something that's a bit more precise, I would say go for the Meiji, because it is just it's really, really nice to use. It's a small precision, or smaller precision tool, and I think it would reward you in spades if you're someone that's more particular about what you're doing, because you know, it's got to be right rather than out the door, if that makes sense. I think you'll find the Meiji actually better, and as I say, it's half the price, which you really can't grumble at. I've used both of these for clear coat before. I think I did a video with the Meiji for clear coat, although I used the 1.5. And if you're looking at an all-rounder, I would recommend 1.3 in both of these for base coat, which we're using now. But if you're looking for an all-rounder, I would probably say go for the Meiji 1.3 non-HVLP, because that will give you the precision still, but it will also give you uses less air, same money, but it will flow more material, which will be more crucial when it comes to clear coat, because you'll want something a bit wetter really to get the clear out, to enable it to flow. But we're coming towards the end of the video now, and I put the 2 panels together, and I think you'll agree that you really can't see anything between them. Both of them were faultless as far as laying the base coat down. And as I say, this may not look at it, but it's a metallic pearl, and it can, if you get this wrong, you can notice it with, you know, various stripes, tiger stripes as they call it. So you see the 2 patterns. The Sata, this is an I pattern, which I think I've got written down there. So it's an I HVLP. They make an O pattern, which is slightly smaller, smaller pattern, slightly wetter. But you can see that the Sata does put out more material. The 1.5 Meiji will put out about the same as the 1.3 in the Sata. So if you still fancy a Meiji but you want to mimic the Sata, then just go for the 1.5 version. But yeah, I think you'll agree they both lay it down really, really nice. You can't split between the two. Sata, I think it says Sata on the left and the Meiji on the right. But yeah, as I say, you can't really split them. Anyway guys, thanks for all the subscriptions and that, and watching the videos and the comments, etc. It is all much appreciated, and you keep watching them, and as always, I'll keep them coming. Cheers guys, thanks for watching, bye bye.